Hello and welcome back to Junk Mail Tuesday. It is July 25th, 2023, and we're almost into August, which means we're almost into September. And then once we get into September, we're almost into October, which is starts the holiday seasons from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas. And then we're into another year and we're all fucked because we're getting older. Just something to think about there. But thank you for coming back. Before we start this episode, I actually want to give a big thank you to Pink Radiohead, who was on episode one. But I'm recording this so late because I had so much stuff I had to do that I didn't want to ask her to jump on here this late, especially since she's in Eastern time zone. It's pretty late where she's at, but she said that she was definitely down to come back, so we may have her back on sooner than later. But for now, we got a handful of questions that we're gonna get into, and one that let me see, one we got here. We'll jump right into these. Um, One coming in hot actually. Here we go. Okay, this one is from a friend of the stream, actually, long time friend of the stream, Mickey. His question for Junk Mail Tuesday is, what is some advice you got for upcoming streamers? He's got two questions. So there's that one. I'll answer that, and then favorite moment of him in chat. So we have that one to answer too. Um, okay, so I don't really like giving advice because I'm a very small streamer, and when I say small, I mean very very small streamer. But what I will say for advice, and I guess like to clarify, the reason I don't like giving advice is just because I'm not where I should be, so it's hard for me to tell somebody else how to get to that point. But I think some advice that would work no matter whether you're a bigger streamer or a smaller streamer. I would say to be as consistent as possible, and work hard with what you got. And what I mean by that is, most people need a camera, they need a microphone, uh, they need cool effects and sound effects and things like that for the presentation to look better. But everybody's not able to get those things. These things are expensive, they cost money, everybody can't get a PC. All of that comes into play. What I will say is, work really hard with what you got, make it look very presentable. A good way to look at that is, growing up in Houston, we lived in almost all the hoods in Houston. We were very poor, but my mom was a neat freak. She kept the place very clean, and regardless of how little money we had, she made it look like the inside of our apartment was something. The outside we had no control over, but as soon as you walked into our apartment, it was like the cleanest apartment in the hood. So I mean, like, I took that and still do at times. I've got my PC and my camera and my mic and things like that now. But when I was streaming off the PlayStation, I just came with that same mentality. Just make it look as good as you can make it. Um, and just be my advice would be very clean with your content. Make it nice and clean and presentable, and stay consistent. Those two things are two very important things. And I'm very good at keeping my content cleaned up and presentable because I grew up that way. I'm just a clean person like that. As far as I like things nice, neat, clean, presentable, I've always been like that. The consistency part we all can get better at. But yeah, I need to do better with the consistency. But yeah, that's how I would answer those two. Um, Favorite moment of you in chat. Hmm. Let me think. So Mickey's been around for years, which makes this harder because Mickey knows I have terrible memory. But Mickey's been around for years. Mickey made me cry. Mickey made me cry in chat one time. Um, he wrote into the chat a really long, and it was something that was kind of near and dear to me. and I like to keep moments like that private. So I won't get into a lot of detail of what was said into it, but it was a lot of really nice things about how hard I was working and how great the streams have been, and just gave me it was just one of those a long message in the chat just about how great uh I've been doing and things like that, and it definitely made me tear up because I've gotten into a lot of spots in my Twitch career where I kind of just felt like, why am I doing this? And that was one of those moments, and it just hit at a time where I really needed to hear that. So that I would say that would be my favorite moment, just because that was a sentimental moment for me that definitely meant a lot. So shout out to Mickey. Thank you for the questions. We'll jump over to my phone because I have a few in here. The next one will be from Mailman. Shout out to you, Mailman. Would you rather fight 10 gorilla sized chickens or a chicken sized gorilla? That's from Mailman. I think this one's kind of easy for me. Just because I don't fear chicken like I do gorillas. I feel like gorillas and monkeys as a whole, the entire family of the apes or whatever, I feel like no matter what size they are, I feel like they are extremely dangerous, and I don't want to fight 10 small gorillas. Like, I just don't. They could be chicken sized. I still think they can harm. So, can a chimp like really fuck somebody up? I think like that's the thing, isn't it? Like chimps fuck people up, do they not? Yeah, I'm cool. I'll fight a gorilla sized chicken. I just feel like it just I yeah, I'm not really I'm not really fearing a giant chicken. Um yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure chicken sized gorillas are would not to be played with. Shout out to the gorilla. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Mailman, thank you for your question. Let's jump over to James, who says, "What's your favorite game that you streamed in your entire Twitch career?" Oh, this is a good one. I have a okay. I'll give you a few good ones for a couple of reasons, and then I'll answer your question with the answer to my favorite that I streamed. But a few good ones for me in my Twitch career. Little Nightmares meant a lot to me. It was the first horror game that I ever played. Because I don't do horror, I don't watch horror, I don't play horror. I'm not a horror person at all. But I did Little Nightmares, and that kind of eased me in to different horror games, and they still fuck me up. But like I've been getting into those. But once we got into horror, my audience kind of grew more. So that kind of I guess it's like the people like the reaction of you being terrified. So I guess maybe that's where the I guess maybe that's where all of my channels grew. Some was just as soon as you click on my stream, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs of something jumping out at me. So yeah, horror kind of grew my channel, as bad as that is, because I hate horror. And now I'm like stuck with it. But yeah, Little Nightmares began my horror journey in streaming. What else made a big difference for me? The Walking Dead made a big difference. It was like one of the most talkative chats that I've had, because so many people were into the decision making, and y'all know me, I mess a lot of things up in games, and I was messing things up, and it just made for a fun time. So The Walking Dead is up there for me. Um, what else and what else did I really really enjoy on the stream? Doom Eternal is another one. Doom Eternal actually so quick story with Doom Eternal. I used to be a strictly WWE streamer, and we did WWE 2K20. Long story short, that game was terrible, but I grew a big community off of that, and we had like those were some of my best numbers ever. Uh but I just got tired of the game, and if you've ever played 2K20 for WWE, you would know why, because it was a really really bad game. So I quit playing it and started other things, which my wrestling community didn't really want to watch. And 2K21 didn't come out because WWE 2K took a year off from making a game so that they can fix whatever problems that they had with 2K20, and they came back with 2K22. By that time, you're looking at a year and a half of me playing games to other people. My numbers were much lower because the people who were there for wrestling weren't coming in anymore. Um, so what I ended up doing was 2K22 came out, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to jump back on this train. Terrible. Speaking of advice, never do that. Never hop. If you got like a certain base community and you want to leave it, that's fine. Know you're gonna have to just know you're gonna have to rebuild probably. But you're definitely not jumping back in. So I tried to jump back in. The people that were there from wrestling are just gone now. Like they didn't check for when I did WWE 2K22. And then the people who were there for other games that we're playing don't like wrestling. So it was just like, okay, this is worse than, and I just never went back to wrestling. Doom Eternal changed a lot for me. Doom Eternal, it was we did it for Halloween a few years back, and Doom Eternal actually boosted my numbers to numbers I wasn't getting, and that was really cool. Doom Eternal, super random. The only Doom game I've ever played. I didn't know it was that popular. Like I know it's a popular game. Like Doom is a popular series. I get that, but like I didn't realize on Twitch so many people were watching Doom Eternal streams, and yeah, that worked out well. But to answer your question, James, as far as my favorite game that I did on Twitch, it would be Elden Ring. So I've made this very clear in my chat a million times. I think Elden Ring is the greatest game that was ever made, but just it's the first time I've ever played a Souls-like game. It's the first time I've ever played a game from Software. It was something brand new to me, and it was just something like that. Just I couldn't imagine going into it. I didn't know what to expect. I did not imagine it was going to be that. Just I don't know. As somebody who gets anxious about too many things to do, I didn't feel as anxious in Elden Ring. I just felt more excited. Like Mass Effect, when I played the Mass Effect series for the first time, I had so much anxiety about for like leaving something important behind. But with Elden Ring, it just kind of felt like, you have forever to do this. I was more excited to just run along edges of walls to see if something would just disappear and like the wall just disappear and now you have a secret entryway into a whole nother area. Like there was just I don't know, I was more excited just walking around exploring things than I usually am with games that are that open. Um, it was really cool. I did not beat it by myself. I for 90% of the game played with Twitch streamer Laguna, and that made it a lot of fun because we laughed and joked about how bad I am, and we laughed and joked about how bad she was, and the chat had a good time. Elden Ring was really cool, and beating Elden Ring made me feel like I could beat anything. Like legit, it really made me feel that way. It also made me feel like it made me start trying games that I had never thought I would play because I was like, okay, like if I could put my brain cells together to get through Elden Ring, I could do a lot of these other games. And yeah, so Elden Ring didn't just change my Twitch career, it also changed my gaming career because I'm way more open to try things that I wouldn't have tried before because I always looked at it as like, oh yeah, it's too hard. I didn't know anything about the Dark Souls games, right? And I'll never forget. Was it? Let me look this up real quick. Was it Bloodborne? I'm still not. I'm still not like super knowledgeable in any of this. All right, so I know Bloodborne's a game, but I think Dark Souls was what I was gonna get. Yeah. Okay, so I called a friend one time and he was trying to get me to get yeah, this is it. He was trying to get me to buy Fallout 4 because I never played a Fallout game. And I was like, yep, it's Dark Souls. So I walk into GameStop and I'm looking at the games and I call him. I was like, hey, I see Fallout 4, but this Dark Souls looks kind of cool. I I don't know what number it was. I could tell if I see the cover. Let me see. Dark Souls 3. Yep, that's the one. 3. Yep, this is it. Okay. So I was like, I see this Dark Souls game and it looks kind of cool. Like maybe I should try this. I was literally going off the cover of the game. Which, fun fact, I'm a sucker for that. Music, shows, movies, video games. If your artwork looks really good, there's a huge chance I'll buy it without ever seeing a preview or anything for it. So I'm easy to get with that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah. So I was talking about Dark Souls 3, and he said, Antho, you're not gonna like that game. Don't get that. He said that game is extremely hard, and I thought he was overreacting, but he was like, dude, it's one of those like you lose everything and you start over, and like I was like, okay, I'll just buy the damn Fallout. And now, like when I got Elden Ring, From Software was explained to me with Dark Souls and Bloodborns and all that, and I was like, oh, this is what he meant by that. If I had started it on stream and had help, then it wouldn't be so bad like I did with Elden Ring. But yeah, like at that time I wasn't even a streamer, so I would have bought that game and never played it after I died and lost everything. But James, thank you for that question. Let me jump over to. Oh, speaking of Drake, the person the friend that told me to get Fallout 4, he sent in a question. He said, you talked last episode about getting back into art. Do you have a favorite artist? And I do have a favorite artist. His name is David Hockney. David Hockney is my favorite artist. He did a lot of paintings in the 80s. Sorry, thought something was on my arm. He did a lot of paintings in like the 80s. He's known for making he's one of the pioneers for making pop art really popular, which is some of my favorite art personally. He's in his 80s now. He's actually still living, but if you've never seen David Hockney paintings, you should definitely look them up. They're very interesting and they're so different for that 80s time. But like I said, it's just like the pop. Like if you think of just pop, like whatever pop means, like in music and everything, we don't fucking know popular. Like I don't know, but it's got like a look to it. It's like pop painting is anytime I think of that, I think of David Hockney. I'm sure there's other people who contributed to making pop paintings super popular. I'm sure he wasn't the first one to do it. I haven't done all my research on that. I'm sure there's others, but to me, that's what I think of when I think of pop painting. So shout out to David Hockney. He's so cool and he's so fly. Like just look at pictures of him too. He's so fly. He was ahead of his time for sure. But yeah, Drake, that's my favorite artist. Let's jump to Breed, who said, what are some games you loved as a kid, but as you got older, you realized they were terrible? Oh, this is a good one. One of them right off the bat is Sonic. The one with Princess Elise. I think it's just called Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Let me see. It's the one with Princess Elise. I used to love that game as a child. And as an adult, I look at it and I hear a lot of people. The only reason I even went back to look into it was because I just hear so many people always cracking jokes on that game. And I was like, really? I loved that game as a kid. And I went to look at YouTube videos of it just because the jokes kept going and going and going. And I was like, oh my God, this looks bad. Okay, it is just called Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. I loved that game when I was a kid, and looking back at it now, it just looks like shit. Like it's so bad and weird that Sonic is like fucking Princess Elise. It's the weirdest fucking game ever, but there's that. I just recently so all right, 2020 when COVID hit, I went up to a place here in town and got some old systems and been getting old games for them because was just planning to sit in the house for all of COVID and play retro games. And I got Twisted Metal. So what I did was I called my friend on the phone because he has a PlayStation. He has one of those that it's like a small one, but it has like all the games already imported into it. And we just called each other on the phone. This was before I had Discord or a computer. Uh, and he was like, "Let's play Twisted Metal." Like I've never played Twisted Metal, and you always told me about how fun it was, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I put in Twisted Metal in my PS1. He put in Twisted Metal, and we talked on the phone. Uh, and I was like, "Yo, the controls on this are so hard." Like as a kid, it didn't feel like this difficult, but it doesn't age well. The controls for sure. Um, And then I just did a reaction video on my YouTube channel. Y'all should check out. It's in my reactions playlist. But the endings are just like when you watch them as an adult, you're just like, oh my god, this is so stupid, but fun at the same time. Like I also give it the credit of it being like this is fun. It's so dumb that it's fun. But the more you think about it, it's like as far as good, you're like, yo, if I would have made it all the way through, like today, if I sit down and play this entire game, make it all the way through to the end, and then I get that dumbass cutscene at the very end of it that's like a few seconds long, and it's just so ridiculously stupid. You're just like, why? I just feel like I just wasted so many hours of my day. Uh, but I did recently play a little bit of it on stream here, last week, and it's fun. I have fun just getting in there and just laughing at how dumb the game is. And I made it to like the second round and lost, so we kind of moved on. But yeah, it's not a great game. That was Twisted Metal 2. I'm very interested to try Twisted Metal Black again because from what I remember, that was a good game when I was younger. I hope that aged well. But Twisted Metal 2 is just kind of weird. It's one of those that's so bad it's good. Like it's all right. But yeah, those two, Sonic and Twisted Metal for sure. I don't. I can think of another one. I'm so easy to please. That's the hard part with me. I'm so easy to please that I just about liked almost everything I played. Uh, and there's a handful of wrestling games in there too. Raw 2. I'm sure there's more. That at the time I loved them, and then as an adult you're just like, you probably just loved it because they were wrestling games. But a lot of those were fucking terrible. Um, all right, thank you for that, Breed. Let's jump to the next one. Let me see. Who do we want to go with? What do you think? Oh, this one's from Jada. This is a good one. Something that we can put some deep thought into. What do you think people in the world today lack the most? Um, I think people today lack communication. I feel like there's so many problems that could be solved if people sat down and just had communication, like not talking angry, not like ignoring, like just sit down and just be like, hey, this is what's going on, or hey, this is what I feel, or hey, I don't like that you did this, or hey, I like this about you. Like, even it doesn't even always have to be bad. Like, have communication. Like, if you love somebody, tell them you love them. Like, if you think somebody is super dope, tell them that. Like, I try to make sure. And people laugh at me all the time for this because they tell me I'm way too nice, which is true. I am way too nice at times, but I like to let people know that what I think about them. Um, I like to tell people like, "Yo, I think you're an awesome person." I'll tell them on a random Wednesday, like, "Yo, just letting you know you're fucking awesome, and I think you're dope." Because communication is just everything. Some people may be sitting around and think nobody thinks anything about them, never thinks of them, doesn't think anything great about them. Like, I like to make sure that my time on Earth, I spend some of that time making people feel good about themselves, but in a way that's honest. I never lie to people. To make them happy. But I will tell people if I fuck with you and I really like you and I rock with you, I try to make it a habit to let you know just hey, I think you're awesome. You're killing shit. Or, I'll message somebody and just tell them, hey, like I think you're doing great. Like you've been killing shit and keep killing it. So and by that's what I'm saying. Like communication doesn't always have to be bad, even though like even with the bad, like I feel like we just need to communicate with each other so that there's understandings because look, all of us at some level we all have like anxiety, depression, mental health. Like we're all human. And sometimes we overthink things and things happen. So I mean, like, I don't know. I just try to be, when it comes to communication, I try to make myself very clear so that people understand where I stand on things or and all that. But just I love communication. I love communication. I think that it's very necessary and very needed, and I think we as humans should practice it more because I think communication can solve so many problems. You know how many problems that I've had that I've dealt with by myself and it ended badly, and after the fact I'll tell a family member or friend like, why didn't you just tell me? I would have just helped you. Who could have fixed the problem? Now everything can't be fixed, you know, but uh, sometimes just to just let somebody know, hey, this is what I got going on, even if they can't fix it. It's just kind of like, okay, I know they're having a hard time. Maybe I should watch how I maneuver around them or give them space, or you know. So it just communication just it. I just try to use communication the best I can, and I think it'd be dope if the world just worked on communicating better, not just communicating better with each other. Um, Communication can solve a lot of problems. But shout out to J Dub. That was a great question. We got two more here. Let's go with Rob City. Rob City said, I was playing Midnight Club 3, great game, and got a little hype when Real Big by Big Timers came on the intro of the game. What are some songs or soundtracks you love in games? That's one of them. That still gives me goosebumps when I hear Everything Real Big by, which I don't know if it's just Manny Fresh or if it's Big Timers. Whatever. Manny Fresh, when that comes on, that is one of the coolest intro songs to a game. Uh, that was a good soundtrack too. Okay, songs and I'll give you songs and soundtracks. We'll name them off because I got a lot. I may pull up my Spotify here actually. While we do this because I have quite a bit of soundtracks and songs in here. Okay, yes, this soundtrack, Paradise Killer, the original soundtrack, that is for a video game called Paradise Killer. Um, this first song on there, it's called Paradise Stay Forever. That song is amazing. Capital letters. Like everybody, whatever you're doing, either pause this and come back to it after you listen to it, or listen to it as soon as this is over. But Paradise off the Paradise Killer soundtrack. Oh my god, that song will have you like in your car just losing your shit. It's so good. Let me look for my playlist here. I have here we go. My video game playlist. The Elden Ring soundtrack, I loved it. The intro to Elden Ring, that was my hype song all of 2021. Elden Ring was my or 2022, I'm sorry. All of 2022 Elden Ring was my hype song on my way to work. I just turned it on full blast, 8 o'clock in the morning, jamming the Elden Ring soundtrack. Uh the soundtrack for Sonic Adventure 2, that was really good. They have a ghost pumpkin soup from Pumpkin Hill. That was so cool. I remember all the rap songs came on when you were in Knuckles area, but that was good. Jet Set Radio Future is one of my favorite soundtracks of all video games. Jet Set Radio Future, oh my god, Concept of Love, Funky Dealer, uh, Like It, Like This, Like That, humming the bass line. Oh god, I love Jet Set Radio Future. Might be my favorite video game soundtrack. Def Jam Fight for New York. Uh, Almost every song on there is a banger for me. Take a Walk with Me by Joe Budden. They got The Wanted, Method Man and Redman. Who else? Oh man, there's a lot. Volume 10, Pistol Grip Pump. Uh, It's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot. Def Jam Fight for New York is really good, especially if you're a hip hop fan. Um, Legend Dragoon, another one of my favorite soundtracks. Legend Dragoon is dope, but mostly the song "If You Still Believe." That song is so beautiful. What else? What else? What else? Fall Guys is fun. Their soundtrack is fun. Um, NBA Street Volume 2 had a good one. And some NBA 2Ks and things like that in there too. But yeah, those are all the ones that those are like my basic go-tos in my playlist. I'm sure there's other soundtracks that I like. Those are the ones that are kind of like in my playlist here. I also like the one off the new Sonic game, Sonic Frontiers. It's called I'm Here. That was a good one too. So shout out to those. Yeah, those are some of the Grand Theft Auto is almost forgot. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, especially as somebody who loves 90s West Coast rap. San Andreas. Oh my god, that 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 soundtrack is good. Um, which one was that? Okay, so whose question was that? Rob City. There we go. Okay, I think I answered Rob City's Midnight Club 3 because he was talking about that. That's a good soundtrack also. Okay, last one, and it's a two-parter. This is from Big Mike who says, I have two questions. First one, what is some music you listen to that nobody would expect you to? That's a good one. There's a lot. And second, what are some shows slash movies you love that people wouldn't expect? Love the show and everything you're doing. Oh, thank you, Big Mike. I appreciate that. Okay, let's do. I'll do shows and movies real quick because there's not a lot. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I will say a few years ago when I first got my own place, it was probably like 2000 and probably around like 2012, 13, probably. No, it was probably like 2014. I got my uncle let me rent out his garage apartment back behind his house. It's the first time I ever lived on my own. I had my own place. I finally got cable up there, and I didn't have a gaming console. I didn't have a computer. Like I didn't like all I did was watch TV and go out. That was a time of my life where I was mostly just partying. I wasn't watching wrestling anymore. Like I was mostly just going outside a lot and partying a lot, and those those years were so weird. Um, but I did get cable, and I did get really addicted to the ID channel, Investigation Discovery, where and I would just sit there and just watch. It would just be on that channel all day, all day. Like it would literally just be on the ID channels. I'd be watching all these different murder investigation uh shows and episodes on there, and yeah, that I still like all that stuff. I'm just so busy I don't have time to watch it like I used to, but I love a good serial killer documentary. Um I don't this is hard because I don't know what people would expect from me like TV show wise, but the only other thing I did was before I got the cable up there, I would go to the mall. And all right, so I got this job. I'd got this job at this restaurant, and when the first day I started, all the boys in the back were talking about the Supernatural. Now, I remember the Supernatural from years and years and years ago, and I remember it because of the episode with the girl that was under the water. It used to terrify me, and I never watched it. Like I seen that one part of the show, and I always remembered it. And I was like, "Is that the Supernatural they're talking about?" So we talked or whatever, and they were like, "Yeah, you really got to watch that." So what I did was I went to the mall one day because I didn't have cable, and I bought the box sets. Like I'd buy them by the season. They were $50 box sets. Like season one was $50, and I brought it home one day. I was like, let me see. So I just so I could have something to talk about with everybody at work, and it's my favorite show ever. I love the Supernatural. It's the greatest show that ever existed to me. And my opinions on shows don't matter because I don't watch them. So take that with a grain of salt. but it's my personal favorite show that I've ever watched. Like I've watched every single episode to ever exist from the Supernatural. But when I first started, I was buying them by the season. So I spend $50 on season one and just fly through the entire season. And then I'd go back to the mall later, buy season two, come back, go through the entire thing, go to the mall, buy season three. Oh my God. It got so expensive. I did that for like 7 seasons before I finally got like Netflix, and at that point I finally gave up and got into Netflix and Hulu because I wasn't paying for none of that stuff. I was one of those dudes that was like, I'm not paying for any of this streaming services things. I was also the guy who said I was never going to stop going to GameStop. That happened. I no longer go to GameStop to buy games. But I was that guy. I was like, I'm not buying Hulu. I was still buying CDs when everybody was buying Spotify. Uh, I've done the right thing, and I've I've, I've turned around on those ideas. But yeah, I'd say those two. I think mostly the ID channel. I think most people wouldn't think I'd be that into the ID channel. All right, and what was your second question, Big Mike? Oh, the music. Okay, music is easy. Music is easy because there's a lot. I think if somebody looked at me for the first time, I don't think they would. They'd be surprised I'm an Amy Winehouse fan, uh, Gwen Stefani fan. Well, Gwen Stefani, I say that a little too loose. I really liked her No Doubt era stuff. Uh, so when she was in No Doubt, there was a lot of that I liked. What else? I'm trying to find stuff that's more. Glucosa is one. Glucosa is let me look this up so I don't. Glucosa has a song called Schwein on GTA 4. Yeah, she's Russian. And the song, if I remember this correctly, in the video, I think somebody said the song is about like the police situation in Russia, and in the video, all the police are like cartoon pigs, and um, in the song she goes swine, 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 shicky, shicky, swine, and I don't know, I super love it. I think that would surprise people the most. I super love that song. If you haven't listened to it, listen to Schwein by Glucosa, but listen to it in Russian. Listen to it in Russian. Don't listen to an English version if that exists. Listen to it in Russian. I love that song. What else? What else do I listen to that a lot of people wouldn't expect? It's so hard because like I listen to okay. I must leave rap, pop, and all that alone because I feel like all that would be kind of obvious. Those are all popular things. Um, the only genre I don't like as a whole is country music. But I listen to a lot of Bad Bunny, J Balvin, reggaeton music, salsa music, reggae music, Afrobeat. I don't do a lot of J. I K-pop, like I put on like one time I was cleaning the house and I put on like a K-pop playlist just because I like it's not really my thing, but like the music wasn't bad. It wasn't like something I go back to, but I put K-pop on one time while I was cleaning the house and it was just like, okay, this feels good while I'm cleaning. It's not my go-to, but um it was fine. It sounded okay. Uh yeah, there's a lot of those. Let me see cuz I have playlists here. And I think I have some. I think the ones people would be most surprised about is just the different the music I listen to that's in languages I don't know how to pronounce. uh yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I listen to a lot of Afrobeat. Yeah. Okay. Yep, that's all. Let me make sure I got every question before we get out of here. Let me just do a double check real quick. Make sure I didn't leave anybody behind. We got Big Mike, we got J Dub, Rob City, Breed, James, Drake, Mailman. Okay, we got everyone. And Mickey also. Okay, that's gonna do it for this week's episode of Junk Mail Tuesday. Thank y'all so much for hanging out. We'll try to have more guests on more regularly. I've been reaching out to some people, but it's been a busy week for a lot of people. And like I said, with Pink Radiohead, I'm recording so late. I just really didn't want to ask her to jump on this late. But I truly appreciate everybody. Thank you for all the support on all the YouTube videos. The numbers are going up. Y'all are great. I love y'all. Also, if you want to hang out with me live, I'm on twitch.tv/Anthony Streams with 2 Z's instead of one. It's just like YouTube, except it has 2 Z's instead of the one. I mean, not a big change. Just add one extra Z on the end of that. And you can hang out with us live. We're about to get into Resident Evil 3. We're going to be getting into Lies of P. We're going to be doing a lot of giveaways. So you want to make sure you're there for all that. And with that being said, that's it for this week's episode, July 25th, 2023. We will see y'all next week. Peace.